everyone. Something is happening here. I don't know what, but for whatever reason, my stream got the first stream. I think was not even being pushed to anyone. Um, and then now it seems like I got interrupted while I was trying to actually get my thoughts out. But let me just wait and see what's going to happen this time around because the first time I tried to do this, I encountered a few issues. So yeah. Anyway, basically, I started a different. I actually made it like a stream before this one, and then there wasn't a lot of things that I could see on the screen, so it clearly meant that YouTube was not happy with the title. So I tried to change the title. Um, yeah, it's wild. Um, I made a stream before this. I'm repeating myself. If you're watching this after I've finished my stream, I apologize for repeating myself so many times. I'm just waiting for a couple of people to come online and just gauge how this whole thing is going to go. But yeah, it's not looking good. It doesn't seem like YouTube is happy with me. Anyway, let me try and get my thoughts out, right? Um, I saw a video of MMA Guru specifically, like basically speaking about fighters within the UFC, right? I didn't like what I saw, and one of the biggest issues I had was that it seems like there's a couple of things that this dude is basically doing, and I think he's going unchecked for too long. Like no one is actually commenting on this particular topic. Um, no one is actually speaking about this. No one is actually reprimanding this guy for the things that he's saying, right? And I felt like maybe I should make a stream and actually speak about it, but it seems like I don't feel like you because the first time I tried to make the stream and it got like it seemed like no, it wasn't being pushed to anyone. I changed the title and then I got interrupted and basically I got kicked out of my own stream. So the stream. But my thing is, I don't feel like this guy feels like there are consequences in the world for the things that he says, and so he says outrageous things continuously over and over and over again, and basically no one says anything. They just observe what he's saying and they just allow him or let him actually do all those things, right? So this is basically about the fact that the MMA guru has been continuously saying outrageous things about a variety of fighters from a specific region of the world, right? For example, let's actually speak about. Let me start with Habib, right? I think last year, yeah, last year when like it was recommended to me because obviously I'm in the field. I'm doing like MMA videos and all those type of things. So obviously it was recommended to me, and so I started watching his videos. And the first thing on my mind was that I think he's really good at what he does. He's very funny, um, but my issue is that he has an issue with a particular group of people, right? And I feel like and he's a sore winner. Like he's not a good winner. Whenever he is right about something, he makes sure he rubs it in people's faces, right? So I say this because he made a video basically claiming that he was exposing the privilege of, referring to Muslims. He wasn't. He was trying not to say it, but that's basically what he was saying, right? He for their privilege, and obviously he was trying to say no, I don't have a problem with the system. Like he's not saying the UFC, so what system? I don't think he was blaming the UFC per se. Obviously, he was pointing out some referees and all these type of things, but my issue is that the things that he was speaking about are happening throughout the world, but he hasn't pointed any of them out. He claims that Umar Nurmagomedov, for example, is privileged because he's getting a title, or rather a ranked contender, and it's largely because of the fact that Saudi Arabia is paying the UFC millions of dollars in order to host the certain events at in Saudi Arabia, right? So that's one of the things that he's claiming. Um, so my question is, why isn't he making a video about? I actually even left a comment on that particular video. Why isn't he making videos about Diego Lopez um, fighting Brian Ortega? Because that's basically the same situation. The difference is one is a Muslim and the other is not, right? So this is what I felt like it started to annoy me a little bit because he if it's like if he did this in one video and then left it alone, then it wouldn't be a problem. But whenever it comes to Muslim fighters, it seems like like he throws a bit of jabs in almost every single video that he does, right? Um, so, for example, he was okay with Bilal Muhammad being skipped over for a title shot, despite the fact that he's on and all these things until Colby Covington lost. That's when he was like, yeah, no, Bilal Muhammad like deserves the title shot and all these type of things. But before then, he was trashing Bilal, and he was saying Bilal should have to fight someone else again for in order to earn a title shot. Um, that's one of the few things that I'm referring to. Ankalaev, for whatever reason, out of all these people, man, like the people that I feel like he hates more. I don't like to use the word hate, even though I used it in my thumbnail. But when you hear how he speaks about these people and continuously, if it was one particular video, I would be like, okay, he's just letting off some steam. But it's a continuous thing on a variety of videos, even if it's not like a full set, or rather a full session of him going in on these particular fighters. He throws jabs constantly, almost on a very long win streak right now. And this guy is basically saying outrageous things like he doesn't deserve a title shot, and he hopes what do you call it, Jiri Prohaska wins so a little bit longer in order to get like a title shot. Um, so point, but he also complains about Umar, who's fighting Corey Sanhagen. I apologize for that mistake, but he doesn't say anything, and he says he's excited about the fight between Brian Ortega. And obviously, as a fan, um, everyone should be excited. My thing is, I think title shots and big opportunities would go to people who are on long streaks, right? That's my take. I feel like if ever rankings did not exist, opportunities should be going to people who are on long streaks. Diego Lopez came in on short notice to fight Movza Evloev. I've never heard MMA Guru trashing Diego Lopez and calling him all these names that he calls these people. But when Ikram Aliskerov comes in on short notice and fights Robert Whittaker, it's privilege. It's 1 2 3. It's 1 2 3. He also spoke about the fouls that have taken place, pay-per-views that have taken place in Saudi Arabia. Who's that guy who did a backflip? Who and then it landed partially on the face, right? Where is Piggy is, but like I'm big sure I'm actually just commenting on some of the things that he says. Um, so he was saying like there were so many fouls. Let's speak about Shara Magomedov. I think I already covered this particular topic a little bit when I was doing my prediction results video. So he cheat largely because of the region where he's fighting, and because obviously he's a Muslim, right? And I'm not going to even dispute that fact. It happens in every single area where people visit, right? When the UFC is in Brazil, Brazilians are allowed to some extent to cheat. Like that's why I made the example. Was it UFC 301 where I forgot the name of this guy who did a backflip and his knee basically glanced the face of that particular opponent. I forgot his name. He didn't. He actually mentioned that, but in passing. He didn't seem like he was upset about that particular thing. He didn't make a dedicated video to Brazilian fighters and their privilege and all these type of things. However, it seems like when it's Muslims on the receiving end, then he makes a dedicated video in order to try and bash these people. I honestly don't understand the purpose of doing that, right? So let's talk about the fouls. I wanted to go back to the Sharamagomedov foul that he was referring to, right? I think it was the first round, also somewhere between the first round and the second round, Antonio Trocoli was grabbing the fence in order to maintain position. He doesn't speak about that. If you go back and watch the fight, Antonio Trocoli was in. I don't know if it was in a clinch position because he never successfully took him down, but he was grabbing the fence in order to maintain his position in that particular fight. But he never successfully actually took him down. He doesn't mention that. And Sharamagomedov did grab the fence, and I'm not even going to defend that. It was a foul. However, maybe that's my perspective. Maybe the referee felt like, okay, this guy was grabbing the fence before, and then this guy did it now, so it's a decision as to whether or not he should actually make any move. But I feel like it was fair because one was grabbing the fence. Who's calling me? Who's calling me? No, I'm not gonna answer the phone now. So one was grabbing the fence in order to basically change a position, and the other one, or rather, the one was grabbing the fence in order to maintain position, and the other one was grabbing the fence to prevent getting in a bad position. So for me, I feel like that to some extent, although Sharamagomedov's fence grab was a little bit um, horrible, basically, just to put it simply. But the fact that you don't mention that the other guy actually started the fence grabbing before this other guy actually did it, he doesn't mention that. He trashes people like Hamza Chimaev. He acts like, no, I'm not trashing this guy. I feel bad for him and all this. I honestly don't understand why people are so mad at this particular dude for being sick. Like it's like food poisoning is like a simple thing to get over. It's sort of like when Aljamain Sterling was kneed on the head and everyone was blaming him, like, no, he's acting and all these type of things, as if they would be able to take a knee from a professional fighter on the head and still be able to function normally for the next 5 minutes. It was outrageous to see that happen, but that's how people are treating this whole thing, like, oh, it's food poisoning. Like, why don't you man up and just move on? I know people who have passed away because of food poisoning, right? So for people to treat it like it was nothing, it was like a minor thing that could have been um, I don't know, like they make it seem like he's weak because he contracted food poisoning. I will admit to the fact, what do you call it? Situations and scenarios, also especially when it comes to him being the main event. You know, he he missed weight with the situation with Nate Diaz when he was supposed to fight Nate Diaz. And I get a lot of people why a lot of people were upset with that, but I think it was clearly explained that Khamzat Chimaev is massive, right? Like he's massive for welterweight. So in order for him to prepare or rather to cut to welterweight, he needs a little bit of time in order to do that. The problem in that situation was that the UFC actually informed Hamza that he was going to fight at welterweight. Basically gave him short notice in order to prepare and in order to start cutting weight. That's mainly why he missed weight. A lot of, well, or rather, information is available. You don't have to take my word for it. It's available online. That's basically, and that's what he also says. So that's why he missed weight. The UFC gave him short notice that he was fighting at welterweight, and that's why he couldn't cut that much weight so quickly, right? He missed weight. The second time he pulled out, I think people are also counting the times that he was sick. I mean, Leon Edwards was also pulling out of those particular fights, but Hamza Chimaev has never actually technically pulled out of any single fight except when he was sick. The first time he had COVID, and then the second time was now when he was having like food poisoning. The other one, I mean, Nate Diaz refused. There are so many fighters, and it's his right to refuse to fight someone who's coming in on, or rather, who's coming in overweight, um, which is his right. But there are so many other fighters who fought. What do you call him? Davison Figueiredo. Davison Figueiredo came in overweight on a title fight, which is, I think, significantly more worse. He was fighting for a title and he came in overweight. I've said this before. He came in overweight and then he won, and his next fight was for the title, right? So no one is crucifying that guy for that. Um, who else did I want to mention? There's someone that I actually want to mention who he spoke about. Yeah, what do you call him? Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira came into the UFC, and the only ranked fighter that Alex Pereira beat was Sean Strickland, and he got the title. Like, he got a title shot after that. Um, MMA Guru does not speak about that. He speaks about privilege and the fighters from Dagestan or Russia or whatever the case is who are conveniently Muslims. He speaks about these particular fighters and he says, well, they are privileged and all these type of things. He's not saying those things about people like Alex Pereira, who basically fought um, Cans and then fought Sean Strickland and got a title shot. He doesn't highlight those type of things. He doesn't speak about um, what do you call her, Alexa Grasso. Alexa Grasso, who clearly lost that particular fight against Valentina Shevchenko, the second fight. She got a 10-8 in the final round for exactly the same thing that Valentina Shevchenko did, I think, in the third round of that particular fight. They did exactly the same thing, but the judges gave Alexa Grasso a 10-8 in round five. I think in round between I can't remember specifically which round where Valentina Shevchenko was actually doing exactly the same thing in that particular round. I think it was round three. Shevchenko was doing exactly the same thing, and he doesn't mention those type of things. There's so many fouls. Chris Weidman won a fight with a double eye poke. Like that's basically what the finishing sequence was. You know, he doesn't highlight those things. He doesn't blame America for John Jones, um, who's violated so many rules within the MMA. He's violated so many rules, and he hasn't been banned. He doesn't blame America for that. He blames John Jones, which is fair. But for whatever reason, whenever it comes to Muslim fighters, he classifies them as a group as opposed to speaking about an individual. And that's essentially why I was like, this guy is going unchecked for so long that he's getting out of control. Um, he spoke about Israel Adesanya touching his dog. I really don't care about that. Israel Adesanya can be an a-hole sometimes, um, especially how he speaks about his fans and all these type of things. So for me, it's hard to defend him. So it's fine. Even though I'm a fan of Israel Adesanya, but him personally, it's I'm on the fence about it. But I really didn't mind. I feel like I believe in free speech, and I feel like everyone should be allowed to say whatever it is that they want, even if it's offensive, but to some extent. I don't condone hate speech, which is what I feel like MMA Guru is doing. Because the reason why, one of the reasons that I made the stream is because generally Muslims are hated around the world, right? So what MMA Guru is doing is inciting unknowingly. I don't know if he's doing it consciously or unconsciously, but he's increasing the amount of for Muslims specifically by doing the things that he's doing. Because like I've been mentioning throughout this whole stream, and I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself too many times, but with other incidents like the incidents that I mentioned where there are fouls or there are robberies on the card or anything like things like that, he he mentions them in passing, but when it comes to Muslim fighters, he makes dedicated videos about these particular fighters. There are so many fighters who have missed weight. Daniel Cormier, I think, grabbed the towel in order to actually make weight. I can't remember when, he mentions those things in passing, but there are specific fighters, like he mentioned something with Habib, grabbing the towel or whatever the case is in order to make weight before he fought Justin Gaethje, which looked horrible. I'm not going to even defend that. It looked horrible. But my problem is how many people have missed weight. Like, why aren't you making videos about them and their countries and them as a group? Why are you blaming individual people, but when it comes to Muslim fighters, you group them together like they are the problem? It's not this individual. And that's why I say he's inciting hate. Like, he's inciting hate. And unfortunately, I don't have the numbers in order to actually make sure that I make any sort of impact to what he is saying, or rather to what I want to say. I wanted to prepare adequately, but YouTube threw me off by kicking me out of my stream, and then like there were so many things that happened before I did this actual stream. So I was even thinking of not doing it at all, but I just decided, you know what, let me just go through with it and just express my opinion. But there's so many fouls that happen. There are so many robberies that happen that do not involve. Like, if you count the amount of robberies, if you count the amount of fouls that are done by anyone outside of like Muslims, basically Muslim fighters, they are incredibly horrible. But for whatever reason, when it's done by Muslims, to needs to be shouted out. It needs to be, um, I don't know, spoken about repeatedly. And to me, it doesn't sound like to me, it sounds like hate speech for me, to be honest. Yeah, I don't feel like I said what I wanted to say. I feel like I'm forgetting so many things. But like I said, I feel like YouTube threw me off. So it is what it is. I'll just have to wait up until my numbers grow to a level whereby I feel like I can actually have a good voice, because he has a community, and that community attacks people. Um, so if he sends them to say, okay, go do this on this person's post, they do that. Go do this on Dana White's post. They do that, and that's why I felt like I needed to speak about this, because he does have influence, and he's using his influence to incite hate on a specific group of people, and which is really really messed up. But yeah, maybe I'll speak about this maybe in the next 3 years when I have a lot more viewers, when I have a lot more subscribers. I'm about to hit 10,000. subscribers. I'm about to hit the 2 million views on my channel. I know this is an uncomfortable topic. Even I didn't like, doing this particular stream, but I honestly don't like people who, because I feel like it's basically bullying to some extent, but which is crazy because fighters, you're like, how do you bully a fighter like Islam Makhachev or Khamzat Chimaev or Habib Nurmagomedov? They're incredible fighters, and to his credit, but I felt like he was just hiding what he was actually saying. But he did say, they're incredible fighters and all those type of things. But my problem is that's not what he was doing in that video. Even celebrating Ikram Aliskerov being knocked out and all these type of things. He's a sore winner. A lot of his picks, especially since UFC 300, my picks have been significantly better. Maybe he was right on two or three cards in between fight nights, but when it came to pay-per-views, like even fight nights, my predictions have been significantly better. But you don't see me going like making videos about how like other people are horrible or whatever the case is. Um, Even though I mentioned it a little bit, but I don't make dedicated streams to tell people how horrible they are. I mention it in passing, and then I get to what I'm supposed to be doing on that particular stream. I don't make dedicated. He doesn't like them because they are Muslim. Yeah, it's for me personally. I mean, he doesn't say it outrightly, but if you look at his videos, that's basically. I mean, go back. You don't have to just take my word for it. And this is me recommending you go watch his videos and specifically target the videos that speak about Muslim fighters, whether it's Hamza, whether it's Bilal, whether it's Ankalaev, or when he's reacting to fight nights, and then listen to what he says. Watch specifically videos that have Muslim fighters on that particular card, and then he makes also dedicated videos to speaking about, like, whenever if you see a title speaking about Habib, Hamza, Bilal, Umar Nurmagomedov, um, Magomed Angelaev, Shara Magomedov, Ikram Aliskerov, like, watch the videos that speak about those particular fighters. I think you'll understand what I'm talking about. Don't watch all the videos, just watch specifically those videos. I think you'll understand, you'll get an idea of what I'm talking about. But yeah, I don't like making these kinds of videos. I think I'm repeating myself now. I feel uncomfortable right now, but I don't see anyone speaking um, against what he's doing. In conclusion, I think what he's doing is hate speech. Freedom of speech, I think it's okay, but when you portray a specific group of people in a specific manner, knowing that you have influence and knowing how the world views this group of people, I think is very dangerous in my opinion. And I felt like I needed to point that out. Anyway, I'm sorry if I made any of you feel uncomfortable. Um, I'll get back to my normal videos, which is predictions and upsets, predictions, and all these type of things. But like I always say on my channel, I'm going to speak about topics that I feel passionately about, and this is one of them. Anyway, I love and appreciate all of you. Until next time, deuces.